hello. Welcome to the pod. Welcome to the Louder Pod. Thank you guys for sticking with us. And also, please don't forget to subscribe. We've been noticing some of you have been watching these episodes and not subscribing. Don't do that. Don't be one of those people. Subscribe. This doesn't take time. Just click on the subscribe button, click on the like button. Also, click on the share button and share it to your friends, your mommy, your grandma, your auntie, your great grandma, your ancestor, everybody. I'm joking. I'm joking. Anyway, today we have another episode and we will be discussing the weight of words when women hurt women. So the key Bible verses for today is Proverbs 18:21 and Colossians 3:13. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. That is Proverbs 18:21. And then Colossians 3:13. Bear with one another and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. With that being said, in a world built on patriarchy, women should be one another's safe space. But too often, the opposite happens. From families to friend groups, workplaces to online communities, women can wound each other with the weight of their words. And then the criticism replaces compassion, and then compassion replaces connections. Very strange. And what should have been sisterhood becomes silent rivalry. But beneath this tension, it lies a deeper layer. Biological changes that shape emotions and reactions, hormones, cycles, pregnancies, and transitions like menopause all influence how women feel, relate, and respond. These shifts, combined with social pressure and emotional fatigue, often create unseen friction between women who are already carrying too much based on patriarchy and the world that we live in. The call then is for understanding, for women to see each other through the eyes of compassion, to speak life instead of judgment, to uplift rather than compete, and to recognize the real enemy is not each other, but the systems, the wounds, and unspoken struggles that divide them. Now, this episode explores how women can begin to heal these fractures and rebuild a kingdom sisterhood rooted in love, truth, and grace. Now, the key themes for our episode are the unseen rivalry and pain among women within families, workplaces, and communities. The next one is very important. And, as men, we also have to pay attention to this. The biological factors that influence emotion, perception, and communication with women. And then, the most important, the spiritual impact of words, how gossip, criticism, and judgment destroy unity, and compassion as resistance in a patriarchal world, relearning sisterhood through the kingdom lens, forgiveness as both healing and rebellion. So before we start, I would love to read something that I came across as I was doing research for this episode. It was a thread by somebody. For privacy, I won't read the person's handle. So it says, there's a fallacy many people unconsciously employ in assuming that women in power automatically understand and sympathize with the fight for gender equality advancements. It also plays out with people from minority or disenfranchised groups who are in power. If it's not wrong, it's just fallacious. So that's a lot of English, right? If you don't understand, let's break it down for you. It means just because someone belongs to a group that has been treated unfairly, like women or minorities, doesn't automatically mean they will help others from that group or care about the same struggles. For example, a woman in power might not always support women's rights, and a person from a poor background might not always fight for the poor. Being part of a group doesn't guarantee loyalty to its cause. With that being said, we have a balance now and a good lens to be able to look into the episode and speak to our beautiful women today, our co-hosts Vera and Aduni. And the first question would be, how do hormones and life transitions shape how women process emotion or conflict?
Um, I could go first. I'll answer that. Um, I say this all the time. Like I feel like in a month, women have just 1 week to be normal. To be honest, it's like 1 minute, 1 week. It's like you might obviously you're on your period. I think the week before your body's like preparing itself, and then the week after, your body's still kind of just coming out of it. So I feel like it's a lot of roller coaster emotionally for women, and even besides periods, some women have PCOS, which makes it even worse. um Also, emotions during pregnancy. I mean, I've never been pregnant before, but I know I've heard of these things and how it takes a toll on them even after you know birth, after put into birth. you know Also, and that's another emotional roller coaster. So I feel like these things, not even I feel like, I know these things affect women on how they, process things, how they process their emotions on a daily basis. And like you were just saying, what you were basically saying was like that idea of, oh, like skin folk and kinfolk. We've all heard that quote, and that actually happened to me because I do have like a health condition that has to do with women, just specifically. And I was like talking to my friend about it, like she doesn't have that health condition, that's fine, but she's a woman. It's kind of understand what I'm trying to say. And the way she just dismissed it and is like, okay, whatever, I was like a little disappointed. Let me put it that way. I mean, she has a right to do. And also, I gotta give it to her. Like, she might not be in the emotional state to even accommodate what I'm
She
going
might be
through.
going
But
through her own as well, you know.
she, you know what I'm saying? Like, she might be going through hers as well. But I would just have liked if she had um just like acknowledged, like, oh, okay, oh, that's what's going on with that. Like, just not even to say sorry, just to like try to understand what I'm talking about, rather than thinking like, oh, like, girl, you're just like doing too much, or like, like I'm really I'm not seeking like sympathy from you. Like, I just wanted someone to talk to. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
And I just wanted to chip in that sometimes women or people that have been through certain stuff do not tend to advocate or be compassionate about those stuff because again, um, they see it as I was able to get out of the situation. I was able to pull myself out without any help. So why should I make it easier for you? And that to me speaks to a hurt that has not been healed, an experience that you've not really introspected into to see what could have been done better, and the roles that everyone played in that process, and that inability to do that has been projected onto someone else. So rather than saying I pulled myself out, is more like why is the situation even in place? What are the help that could have been rendered to me that I did not get? Is it right? Or people should people be obligated to offer that help? And if you have conversations like that, it makes you more compassionate towards people experiencing their stuff rather than, I pulled myself out of it, you do the same. And this also speaks to the individualistic approach that we have as a society now. Everyone has a problem, they have to deal with it themselves rather than the communal spirit that says if a person has a problem we have to come together to help them out of it. So
Excellently said. Thank you very much. Because that's even kind of bled into the next question. We've already kind of covered it. And that question is, why do you think women sometimes project pain onto other women instead of standing together? And you were right. The individualistic approach. And in the olden days when Africa or Nigeria was still embedded in its roots and how we used to live. We were more of a community. We even lived in communal spaces. We took care of each other. If a woman was going to give birth to a child, her whole community, like the women, they all had their roles. There would be midwives, there would be people that, women that still would cook food for her and things like that. But we don't live in that kind of environment anymore. Everybody just cares about the dollar signs. So with that being said, um, the words that we have, that we speak to each other, they have impact. So can you guys recall a moment when another woman's words deeply affected you positively or negatively? And how can we become more aware of the spiritual weight of our speech towards one another?
Before addressing that question, I also wanted to um, echo what you said, that, in the ancient years ago, where Africans were staying embedded in their roots, there's a sense of community and they helped each other, and every sort of help that you could get right now has been monetized. And so there's a way that we talk about this and not touch upon capitalism and this free market and your choice, to chase your goal and all this ideas that we've fed, and we've been forcefully um, taught to buy into it. So every help that could be rendered has been stripped apart and made into an
Mm.
industry. So now you have the hospitals. Now you have Uber that could deliver your food,
You-
and which all of them ties to money, which is something that you have to go out and work for, and provide service for. So why should I provide my service to you for free?
yeah,
You're
want
talking to your friend. What she's probably thinking, if it's that difficult, why don't you go get a therapist?
hello. Hello?
Again, so our society has stripped us off that communal spirit and that humanity spirit, and it's just made everyone so hostile towards another. So, but back to your
I'm sorry.
question.
Let me just really
Um,
let's circle back on what you just said. And I've heard stories about women in labor that the nurses are women, and they're actually mean to this women. Like they're actually not compassionate, and it's kind of like it doesn't make sense because first you're a woman. Some of these women have been through labor, and even if you've not been through labor, just even the idea of period, you should kind of just gauge the pain this person is going through, and getting paid to be there. Some of them don't even like what they do. They're getting paid to be there. They're on a clock. They got other patients to see. Well, like now I'm thinking about it, like what time do they have to be compassionate towards you? What time do they have to, try to make sure you're fine? You're like, girl, push this baby out. I got someone else to see. I'm about to clock out. And so it's like yeah,
and and
capitalism
and,
does
and this
affect the
also
way we do interact with
this
each other.
this also trickles
Definitely.
down into the family system as well. Like your aunt, how many people right now, especially people of African descent in the diaspora, actually have family members living close to them? Everyone is out hustling,
Mm.
in different countries, in different cities, and even the ones that are in the same city as you have different work schedules. So
Oh,
again,
For
even in,
love.
no one has
apart
time.
from, sorry to cut you, but even, I just wanted to just chip in that even you're saying diaspora, even in the real Africa, that's
And
we left, we don't love each other. You know, your neighbor, your neighbor is, we have houses that have high fences. Do you understand?
Mhm.
We don't speak to our
mm,
neighbors, we don't communicate, it all, like,
mm,
imagine even having a house that has a gate where your gate doesn't even have holes, your whole house is fenced, so you're just living in a box. Of course your mind will be boxed as
Mm.
well.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
like nobody
Well,
could see what's going on in there,
yeah.
even if you needed help. Like,
Yeah.
like how would they
So
know?
everyone's just going about trying to figure this life out, just doing their best. And sometimes you're so caught up in their life and trying to figure their life that I don't have time to stop and want to help you.
And just, you know, and just even
Just
think
because,
about this
yeah,
person right
yeah,
now. Right,
yeah.
right,
So,
right.
I
It's
mean,
sad.
it's the heels of capitalism. But again, that's not the topic for today. So,
So with
but
that,
to
let's
your
move to the
question,
next question.
what's
Yes.
negative or
Spiritual
positive?
impact of words
Mhm.
in that have that the weight of words and the spiritual impact.
I could go on that. Well, I, I do have a positive mom in my life, and she tells me all these positive things, and it does like push me to greatness. Shout out to you. You know, but negatively, I really don't keep negative people around me, to be very honest. So I can't answer that question, but I have seen on social media space as to how other women interact with each other on social media through their comments, through their videos, and we could see how negatively it's impacting even our lives outside social media. Once we close this app, it's so powerful, right? This app is not real. Like, think about it. It's not real life, right? It's something on the phone that you even have to open. It's not even the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the phone, but it has so much power on how we view ourselves in reality. You know, I I I mean, some of the things women would say about themselves comes from what other women have said about women in general. Let me put that. Like, sometimes you see on people's profile, like they'll say, "Oh, I am the B word." Like, be for real, you know? And where did you get that from? It's from things you're listening to, the people you look up to, how they describe themselves, and so they describe themselves that way, and you could maybe they look like you because let's say they're a black and they're women. So, and you're successful and you want to be successful and you're a black woman, you start thinking this way, you start acting this way too. You know, we see how I'm gonna be more focused on black women. I'm sorry, because I feel like we need this more than any other race. You know, we see how the younger generations act on TikTok, how they degrade themselves for money, you know, because these are the things that the women that they look up to that are popular say about women through their songs, through their movies, through their lyrics. Even when they're on live, just talking to when you go on live, right? You know you're talking to your fans. Like, that's the only people you're talking to, and you still act a certain way, you know. And even sometimes you're meant to act that way. Sometimes I really believe like these people are putting up a front. I don't believe that you actually really act this way in real life. You know what I'm saying? So like those things negatively impact how people think, and how you think also would it's also spiritual because it's something that we can't see but affects our lives. So we need to be very careful, especially as um you know women of color, when we say certain things about ourselves, because it is coming up in real life and it's not helping us at all, at
And I
all.
would like to start from, when kids are born, male or female, they're like a blank slate, and they know nothing. But there are kids that are the goody two shoes, quote unquote, the nerd, the whatever, or personal experience. Those type of people tend to grow up to seek, positive influences and all of that. And again, there are positive influence out there. You just have to find them. And then there are people that are open, they want to explore, they want, check out life and see every aspect of it. And they are the vast majority of the society. And they tend to feed into what the media tells them is their reality. And that's the type, that's what you're speaking to, Edna. And I guess the question that I have as it relates to this is, yeah, you've talked about the negativity, you've talked about how it influences, our the average person and how that average person sees herself. Um, but is it a chicken? It's the chicken or the egg situation. Is it cause we are that way is why that's been projected in the media, or is it because some people sat down, the execs, and decided that's the narrative we want to push to this community, and why
Definitely.
did we accept it?
That's it. Now that's the golden question. Why did we accept this? And
and,
it comes down to
and
money.
execs,
That's the only reason
yeah,
to
yeah,
make money
again,
out of it. They're not really thinking about how is this going to actually really impact my community? Why do these people want to pay me this much to act this way? Like you look at all our females, they have BBLs, and it doesn't that make sense as to why Black girls are the ones with this surgery the most? How like
right,
the whatever teeth they do, Black girls are the ones with this thing the most. And the funny thing is that Black
mhm,
girls are the ones with this body that this surgeons are copying. So it doesn't even make sense to me. Like obviously they're copying our body, but you guys are still the ones on the table again doing this body. It
right,
doesn't
but
even make
again,
sense.
when we want to have this conversations again, to even talk about it and say, look at what we're telling ourselves negatively, and look at how it's impacting us negatively, and how it's feeding into our spirit for us to actually believe this is who we are, then it's women are not supporting women. You're tearing that lady's revenue down, or you're feeding into misogyny. um how do we start this conversation without those narratives? Because again, there's a need for correction, there's a place for correction in women supporting women,
And
in women being compassionate, but
Can't support
yeah, so
nonsense.
like with that being said, right, I think that's the perfect segue to our next question. Just like you said, being compassionate, and I think compassion is a language we need to learn as a society to be able to deal with each other because there's the disenfranchised group and then there's the people that have the knowledge that can help them. So how do the people that have the knowledge that can help them not feel like they're on a pedestal to the people who are disenfranchised? So how can we meet in the middle ground? With that being said, what does compassion between women look like in a practical daily sense? How can, like, what does it look like? What is a healthy environment for women? And how can healed women model kingdom sisterhood for the next generation?
I would
I
say,
want to. Oh,
sorry, I just
go
wanted to,
ahead.
I will say that being open minded from both sides would be the foundation for whatever compassion, correction, progress that we're talking about. An open mindedness from both sides of the aisle. And, because again, for me to want to correct you or, bring your awareness to the fact that what's going on is wrong, I have judged the situation.
100%.
And for me to judge the situation and for me to want to speak up, I must think I know it. So you cannot, on the other side, say, why do you think you know it? Whatever feistiness going on, those are necessary factor that's needed for this conversation to, oh, I situation.
And
My job is to try to convince you into knowing what I know.
mhm.
So there needs to be openness. And the exact and from this other side, there needs to be openness to want to understand why they think the way they think, why they think what they're doing is right, blah, blah, blah. But again, there's a need for an open space, a safe space to have this conversations. And there should be a willingness to meet in the middle.
And I also think that in movies, I know we've all watched movies about like I think Tyler Perry does this a lot, and we all grew up watching Tyler Perry somehow, where like know, this girl that was in the hood, then she left the hood, maybe she became a lawyer, then she goes back and she's trying to, like, correct these people, like, don't do it this way, don't do it that way. They paint her as judgy. They paint her as bad. They paint her as the skinful king, because that narrative does sip into how people project. That's how we get these things, how people project, how people see other women that are trying to be better or trying to, like, tell them, like, okay, let's not do it this way. There are movies that support the other end, like, oh, this person is being judgy, oh, this person think that they know it. Like, let's stop that narrative in our media space, and let's
And
put a different narrative out there, like, these people do know better.
if we're saying that the media is a problem and that we want to bring people's consciousness to it, why do you think the media would support that by changing the
That's what I'm telling you,
narrative?
that they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They keep painting. They're doing it on purpose. You're right. They're doing it on
You're
purpose.
asking them to change it?
You're right. I'm just okay. Yeah, they're not gonna change it, but I'm saying that that would actually help to really facilitate this thing
Well,
quicker.
that's not gonna happen. So
I mean, there's a point that you guys are missing, right? Both of you are healed, beautiful Nigerian women, right? And look at what we're doing. We're taking time out of our busy lives, sitting down and preparing the next generation for a brighter future than we've had. Everything we're discussing, we're already putting it into practice if you pay attention. We're doing it. So the truth is this, right? We're being compassionate because we know. So how can we um um put it lightly to the next generation by creating our own media? Although it's going to be more expensive to create our own social media and all of that kind of thing. But I mean, okay, instead of posting debauchery and all of those things on the internet, we're sitting down and we're speaking about issues that are not even
Mm,
remotely discussed. So, I
mm.
mean, I need to even applaud you guys for doing this because that's what we're
But
doing.
I kind of see what you're saying. Like, even what we're doing right now is also
it's
Exactly.
also
part of
We're
the
being,
media.
solution.
Yeah, yeah. But I
so
also I want to bring a point again to in all these conversations that we're having, and the point that I like to drive home is the fact that women generally, like, there's some unbroken rules that men have. Like, you do
Mm,
this is wrong. You do this
mm,
is wrong. If you do this is wrong. But it seems
mhm.
like when it gets to women, there are no rules.
And that's part of the emotions that we are talking
There
about
are
earlier.
no rules. And since
Because
you're
women are more emotional. So how do you approach, like, men could be approached and they would get it because they're emotional, but they'll think first. Women are very emotional. So how do we even approach us? How do we approach ourselves?
there
You
are no
know?
rules. I feel
compassion
like,
is the
well, it's
answer.
not just compassion. It's not just compassion. I think that, the rise of negativity, of the degrading of women, not politically, because I think now we have some sort of political power, but like morally and all of that. I think it stems from the fact that maybe we rebelled against all oppression that we had as a group, that now we're so free. We don't want any sort of guidance
Like,
or
it's kind of like
guidelines.
triggering once there's a guidance come, like, what do you want to do? Mm,
Yeah, anytime there wants it's like a guideline
mm,
or some sort of, it's like, no, no,
mm,
no, no, no. Misogyny,
Like,
misogyny,
we fought for this for
patriarchy,
so long.
patriarchy, patriarchy,
Mm,
patriarchy. But again, we cannot have, no matter how compassionate we are, is without a need to have some sort of girl code.
mm, mm,
That we're
mm,
not going to stand for this.
mm.
This is not what we're going to stand for.
Done
We're
for.
not going to accept this. once you want to put that mind frame, it's like, oh, you don't want her to be herself. Oh,
Mm.
you. How can we break that? I think
And
it's the
it just
conversation.
really hurts me that this is actually more prevalent or prominent in the Black women, in the women of color community, in African women community. That we there's no guide. It's just like just do all sort of nonsense and it's fine. You know, and that's we're losing that way. Actually, we're not winning. We're playing this game and we're losing so bad. Look at
We're
how
hurting
the younger
ourselves.
generations are acting,
Hmm.
on social, even forget in real life. Look at the things they look up to, look at the things they want to be. These things are actually just putting us actually as minorities all over again.
I just feel like there's more to this topic. I think there's no way we talk about this topic. We're not going to talk about politics, capitalism, history as an oppressed group. The
Mm,
need to really truly heal from that trauma,
mm,
the rebellion that we're doing right now that's not really benefiting us,
mm,
the type of structures that we need going forward.
mm.
But again, we need an open space to have the conversation. And I think, what we're doing right now, definitely, hopefully, the audience would participate
And
and track the conversation and,
Yes. So
get
with that
going.
being said, thank you guys very much. We're going to round up because we've run out of time. And sorry. Okay. And the takeaway quote for today would be when women understand each other's wounds, emotional, spiritual, and biological, compassion becomes the language. And thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in for the next episode where we'll be discussing more of healing in the society and a strong voice for women. Thank you.